All right, let me also welcome on board to the discussion. We have with us Mr. Kumar Subbiah, the CFO at CEAT, and we've also got Mr. Keshav Bajanka, Executive Director at Century Plyboards, joining in. Good to have you both on board. Mr. Subbiah, I just want to start off with this overall potential for India. We've got transparency, scalability, quality, and tech when it comes to really capitalizing on manufacturing. How are you looking at the overall picture when it comes to the India manufacturing story versus some of the other countries?
Now, India is a good place for manufacturing and exporting tires. So, particularly in auto ancillary space, we see a huge opportunity for India, and therefore, from our standpoint, our growth rates that we have assumed for the next 3 to 5 years is certainly higher than our growth rates assumption for our local sale, both to original equipment manufacturers and the replacement. In the tire space, India is in a good position because most of the raw materials that go into the manufacture of tires is available locally in India, and we can compete well with China, as China doesn't have a natural rubber local sourcing opportunity, and therefore we would be able to compete well with them. And on quality side as well, India has a good perception. So therefore, matching both quality as well as in terms of our ability to manufacture tires at a competitive price. So India is really in a good position to take advantage of the global supply demand situation.
Ashish, I'll get closing comments from you, which is that let's use the GDP as a benchmark here. The GDP is expected to grow in the region of about 7 to 8%. I add back inflation, that makes it a nominal GDP of about 12 to 13%. If I look at fine companies like Thermax, they will gain 2 or 3% more than the GDP. So can I say 15 to 18% growth for Thermax, like a big picture growth for Thermax for next 3 to 5 years is given?
I don't know if it's given, but that is definitely the number to aspire for and to do better. Yeah. I don't think anything's given. A lot of it depends on many things that will unfold. But as an aspiration and to aspire to meet those and to do better than those, I think that's a fair ask.
So I'll not be fair away from the mark when I say that next 3 to 5 years for Thermax and for the sector which you represent, अच्छे दिन नहीं, बहुत अच्छे दिन है.
I will rely on your judgment again and again. I would say where I come from is at least a focus on capabilities, which is perhaps easily the most exciting time in the last couple of decades on the kinds of newer things that we can bring to the market and an appreciation and a demand for those kinds of things. I think if the larger economy continues to do well, the rest of the growth will also come through. Yeah.
All right, Ashish, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Subbiah, I go back to a very basic question in the tire sector. The tire sector has had two issues. A, margins are not in line with what the other manufacturing companies enjoy. There is deep cyclicality because of rubber and because of what's happened to crude prices. And second problem has been cheap dumping from China, at least in the CV space. How do you think both these concerns will be addressed in coming years for the tire sector?
I do agree. Raw material is anywhere between 60 and 70% of our turnover. So, and therefore it has some impact on our margins. In general, what happens when the raw material prices move up very quickly? Okay, there is always a lag. So therefore, it takes anywhere between 3 and 6 months for us to pass on the incidence of any increase in raw material cost to our customers in the form of a price increase. And we also tend to wait for a period of time before just to understand whether any movement in raw material prices is permanent in nature or short term in nature. So therefore, in the previous 2 years, when the raw material prices moved up by 50%, so it took a while for us to pass it on to our customers in the form of pricing. Some part of it we passed on, some part of it, when the market corrected, we were able to get back to our earlier levels of margins. So therefore, there is some element of influence that the commodity prices have on margins, particularly when the movements of raw material prices are steep within a short period of time. Coming back to your second question, okay, As far as India is concerned, tire industry is concerned, it is competitive, okay, on a global scale, and scale plays a very important role. So we would certainly be able to, even despite not so optimistic global macroeconomic situations, India would be in a good position to take advantage of it, considering the base is small. So therefore, we are in a good position to grow disproportionately in the international market compared to the local market.
Right. Mr. Subbiah, we're looking at the EV policy come closer now, and we're looking at some of the large global players perhaps entering India as well. Just as an industry, be it EV or ICE engine vehicles, tires would always be used. What is the scalability for the industry per se? What are we staring at in the next 3 to 5 years?
Okay. No, I think I missed responding to a previous question on commercial tires. As far as the commercial tires go, okay, the import from China has been limited. Okay, the government had in the past introduced some anti-dumping on imports, and that helped in terms of bringing a level playing field for the Indian market. Okay, so there has not been major dumping, but there has been some amount of regular arrival of imported or commercial tires from either from Southeast Asian market or from Chinese region. It is predominantly because of fact that we are in an inverted duty structure regime, whereby tires come at 5-6% kind of a duty, and whereas raw material suffers higher rate of duty, anywhere between 15 and 25%. Of late, we have not seen too much of imports from China, but however, it is we need some help in terms of bringing some level playing field from the government side, so that either we get to import the materials at a lower rate of duty, or the tires come at comparable rate of duty. The second question you're on EV. See, we can use our existing equipment to produce tires that are fitted into EV vehicles. However, there are differences between the tires that go into ICE vehicles compared to EV vehicles. So recipes are different. Okay, and basically the raw materials that go into the recipe in case of EV different, because we have to meet the rolling resistance related requirements, noise related requirements. So our plant and equipment that we have in all our machines can take care of the requirements. However, any change in recipe has some impact with respect to upstream capacity. So therefore, little bit of planning is required. However, we don't see significant impact of any significant increase in EV tires with respect to our capacity. We have created enough flexibility to produce tires should the EV volumes go up steeply.
Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much for joining us. So we are moving really sectors. The theme is manufacturing, from solar energy to capital goods, tire, and now plywoods. Keshav Bhajanka joins us now, Executive Director with Century Plyboards.